Oh, what a big few months, team. What a big few months. You know, I thought I'd turn up here today to talk about a few things. And I thought there's many things that I could talk about today. We've had a lot of action in the ecosystem. There's been a lot of flipping jarring going on, a lot of, truth's been brought to light, a lot of validation for the things that we knew were potentially happening in the ecosystem, but I don't want to talk about that. I was thinking about things I could talk about, I was thinking about, maybe I could talk about an ombudsman's complaint, which went through the ecosystem for some clearly bad behaviors, which has now not only been filed, but hot off the press, it's now been internally transferred from the early resolution team, and it's now officially escalated to the actual investigation team for the ombudsman. Doesn't sound good. No, it doesn't. We could talk about, like the emergency board meetings that have taken place this week within government agencies, after they realize that not only is this shit not going away until someone actually sacks up and shows some leadership publicly, but it's about to get worse because now we've got legal proceedings that are happening as well. What else could we talk about? I could talk about like a government agency's chair or board or the CEO who awarded like a, contract over $5 million, but still won't speak publicly or address any of the new evidence that's actually come out to light. Media are not happy about that. Heard you got some new OIAs in, enjoy that. Also, heard that there's a shit ton of backlash in the industry and they're gonna be forced to put a line in the sand. So anyway, I could talk about it. I could talk about, on top of the $10.8 million of public funding that went through to a certain agency, there was actually another $300,000 that was given to a certain provider in 2020 from yet another government agency, including another one-off grant from $100,000 that was approved by the CEO with no apparent procurement process. That's a bit weird, isn't it? Or we could talk about another $300,000 that was given from one government agency awarded to a certain provider in February this year via a direct contract process, exempting themselves out of normal government procurement procedures. I've read that, had to get it right, because I know that lots of people are going to be watching this, and I got to get my words right. I digress. I could also talk about, this Te Ao Māori based approach, which was so publicly just thrown all over the show with how they're going to make things right for those affected, for the victims and the witnesses and the founders and those that were done wrong. This big cultural shield of how they're just going to lead with aroha and lead with love and try and make things right. Well, don't know what type of process that was, because it's been almost 2 months and still not a single witness, entrepreneur, founder, or anyone that's heard it has been approached by them to do so. Even more hypocritically, up until even this week, publicly they're talking about restoration, privately they're doing anything but. There is threats, intimidation, and a whole bunch of stuff happening behind the scenes. And how do I know? Because I've got receipts, you flippin' muppets. I've got receipts. What else should we talk about? I mean, we could talk about, an ex-prime minister who's, basically said, this is now a literal political nuclear football and no one's really wanting to touch it. Well, been warning to you for a flipping year, so now you get to touch it. Everyone gets this smoke. We could also talk about $200,000 of taxpayers' money that went to a certain company to build this tech platform to help engage community and everyone together. Now, it's kind of weird, I know a little bit about tech. I've been on the board of the, NZ Tech Association. I'm one of the judges of the High Tech Awards. And what's weird was when I was looking at this $200,000 that got spent to build this community, I started looking at the code of it and I said, man, that code looks real familiar. Oh, actually, that's not what you build. What that is actually just a white label subscription play, which costs about $99 US a month. So quick question. If there was no build, where's the other $199,000? Now, if you need links and stuff, you can just go and actually just check the code. It's a white label thing. And how would I know? Because I've used 2 of them before myself when I've been doing other stuff. Because I flippin' know this shit. So, as you can see, this isn't going right. There's lots of things we could talk about. Also, we could talk about how there's multiple politicians and agencies all now realizing they're starting to hide for cover because this isn't going away and it's getting worse and worse. We could talk about the possible Financial Markets Authority's new interest into a certain Web3 project full of potentially speculative investment opportunities, which has been promoted publicly by some well-known faces. You know, that's going to be interesting. I mean, hypothetically, if there was some type of, you know, either in a complaint or someone had told me about it or whatever, you know, the last thing I'm sure a potential like future exclusive NFT drop might need is potentially don't want the FMA looking into that. But hey, what do I know? We could talk about a director of a certain provider having meeting with multiple ministers all throughout 2018 to discuss and get funding out of the Provincial Growth Fund for their previous company. And I think the director was estimating they need about like $4 million over the 5 years. Might sound familiar, not sure. We could talk about an upcoming lawsuit from the CEO of a previous government agency, which is about to steamroll shit, because not only is this person a flippin' boss, there's no way in hell this person would have gone publicly saying they'd be taking legal action unless this shit is flipping game over. That's quite interesting, and what an interesting dynamic that's actually going to put a government in, because then you're going to have someone that was actually within the government that had all this proof and stuff, and then now if the government's still choosing to back different agencies to keep continuing to give them money when you've got all this other stuff going on, and there's going to be legal proceedings, that might make leaders have to take the line. So I'm not sure about that. We could talk about the same provider who now, after they failed the Regional Business Partners Network, won a lot of funding, they got a big government contract with over $5 million from another agency with no proper DD that we can speak of. But now, as we speak right now, is in the second round of applications for even more government money right now for the Regeneration Fund, with multiple applications received. Did anyone know that? Did anyone know that right now, after the absolute shit show, they are in another process to get even more government funds right now? As chairs and boards and CEs and everything continue not to make this thing happen, they're still in the mix. Or we could talk about the 30 pages of texts and emails and stuff direct from one director straight into a minister. And we're talking about relationships. 30 pages, huh? I guess some people know some people. Well, after this, team, I do have one little observation that I would like to talk about. The one little observation is this. I've been doing a little bit of digging into the demographics of all those that have been involved across all the different agencies, across all this flippin' shit show, and I've found one thing. Of 6 out of the 7 CEOs and the key decision makers or whatever in this potential $17 million of government funding now, it's not 10, it's not more, it would have been more, it would have been 17. Only one of them did exempt itself from the procurement process, did proper due diligence, and spoke to customers that were involved, aka the founders or whatever else, and only one listened to the feedback in the market and didn't trust what the provider said and actually chose not to give them to. Guess 6 out of the 7 what they were. Just looking at demographics. Let me put it this way. They weren't female. So you've got 7 government leaders all running this shit, only one has been female. And the one female, the only one that did that, and got the flipping thing right. So now we got to change tune. There we go. Now I've got that vent out of my system. Oh, I just toned it down a bit. I just wanted to get some stuff out so everyone could be like, hey, there's probably some stuff in there you didn't know. Probably stuff in there you didn't know. So, now let's just calm the farm. You get very easy to get hyped up and really angry about these things. But this is what I wanted to talk about. Everyone has been talking about the problem. And what I've been trying to think on for the last little while is what is a solution? What can we do to make this thing better? How does it move forward? And one of the things it's become really clear on is this started with the founders, and as we speak, after a year of warning about it, like literally my first public statement on this was a year ago. It was like December 27th, 2021. And we're a year later, and still we've got 7 agencies involved. There's hundreds of people in the mix. There's millions of dollars flying around. There's lawsuits, there's media, there's blah, 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 blah. Push pause. What did this start with? This started with the founders. And what has happened in the last year? No one has still given a shit about the founders. All these people that we talked about from day one have still not been reached out by any of the government agencies, have still not been reached out for anyone for support, and have still not actually had what they wanted, which is a shield of safety for them to actually be able to operate in. And that's stuffed up. Then I was hoping like hell that we could trust one of these people to do it. I was hoping like hell there'd be some type of flipping leadership in one of these organizations to step up and go, team, this is a flipping shit show. How do we make this right with those that have hurt people? How do we make sure this never happens again? Didn't flipping happen. So then I've been thinking about, okay, where to from here? What are the solutions? It started with the founders. Let's bring it back to the founders. They've been left to the sides. These founders, as we speak, still financially broken, emotionally broken, bunch of bad shit happen. And if you've seen it last week, there's been absolutely more that's come out with more and more that has proven that the founders are still alone and the vulnerable are still being exploited, and the people who matter that we're supposed to trust these things are not looking after them. So I said, stuff it. If they're not gonna do it, we need to do it. And how do? We need to think about the founders and founders first. So what have we decided to do? Well, the first thing I said was, we need to make this shit right for the people that have been hurt. So let's make this real. Let's make this real. As everyone's flipping, drinking the Kool-Aid and flipping, swinging their dicks out and fighting everyone over this one, fine, park that shit. Let's make it real. You see this here, team? See this here? This is real. This is a invoice, and we've blacked out the logos and the shit, whatever, from one of the witness/victim/founders that has been affected from day one with this shit that still is stuffed. And this is a contract for legal bills for them to try and protect their own company when they were preyed upon. So I'm looking at a contract here. Guess how much this is for, from one of the founders that can't afford to pay this. Guess how much? Let's take a guess. Totally innocent victim, stuffed up. Here we go. Here's some facts. Here we go. Legal fees, number one, 7 grand, 6 grand, 12 grand, 5 grand, 16 grand, blah, 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 blah. Team, let's make this shit real. This founder right now is dealing with $82,831.28. That is one invoice that is real from one of the founders that have been hurt. So how about this, team? How about we bring it back to the flipping founders? So what I've decided to do, and because a shit ton of people have been hitting me up, a bunch of amazing industry leaders, a bunch of amazing weapons in the ecosystem going, what do we flipping do? I said, look, let's start with this shit. So what we decided to do, I said, look, how about this for a flipping idea? Let's start a founders first trust. And what this trust will do is provide a safe space for founders and anonymous reporting for those that are vulnerable. And we will fight for you because no one else is doing shit. What if we could give them due diligence solutions to help them with potential investors or advisors or VCs or angels or mentors or whatever? The first project for this, so everyone's going to piss off for the holidays, that's fine. But when we come back, Founders First we're going to try and raise money, and we're going to try and get support from the industry, and we're going to clear this shit off. I want every single cent from every single witness, victim, or founder that's been hurt through this bullshit to get their legal bills to zero. And it starts with this right here. So over the holiday break, I am going to be, and also let's talk about oversight for a second, because I'm a flipping menace. We've already got a massive legal boss that is going to be overseeing this trust. And the goal of them, they're going to control absolutely everything, where the money goes, all that other stuff. We're going to raise it, help the founders direct to you, totally transparent for everyone to see. Every single cent, every single dollar, we won't be able to control it. We're going to be doing it to help the founders, because the founders have been forgotten about. The founders are the one that matters. And still today, no one's thinking of founders first. So we'll flip and do it. The people, the ones on the streets that are actually missing it, the ones in the communities that are actually giving a shit about these people, and the ones that are going, this whole thing's a flipping right off. So Founders First in 2023, the first project is clearing this piece of shit off for $82,831.28. I'm going to be going to all the different brands and all the different businesses. Anyone who wants to actually wave the flag of support and actually support, not those that have actually been shielding those that are empowering and enabling more bad shit to happen. So that's just one of the things. Now, how will we raise this money? Well, I've got a whole bunch of ideas. I was thinking about doing a merch line, and I'm going to do a merch line. I was thinking one that's going to say like gold standard. It's going to be like gold standard. I thought that could be on a good one. Or like another one, I was thinking like friends and fools. Like maybe I think friends and fools. I don't know. But that's what we're going to do coming into 2023. We are going to look out for the flipping founders, create a safe space for them, have anonymous reporting where people can put shit in. So much of the feedback that's happened in the last week is there are a lot of bullies doing a lot of bad shit in this ecosystem. Well, I don't think that's that cool. Now, I am extremely fortunate that I have a huge network of people who are also wanting to support those that are vulnerable, that are in need, whether it be females or minorities or Māori or Pacific Islanders or whatever it is, and even in the board suite that have been bullied around by others, all that stuff. So enjoy the break, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this rant. This is what we're going to do in 2023. We're going to get all this victim shit to zero, and we're going to create a safer space for others. Now, we've got many amazing supporters who want to help this thing, and that's cool, but we need to move to solution, because if others ain't doing shit, we got to do it ourselves. We can't just keep expecting this arrogance and narcissism and ego-driven bullshit covering everyone else's ass to shield them while they hurt others, just to continue on. We need to shift it forward. So I am going to be trying to shift it forward. Now, privately, there is a whole bunch of other shit that I'm sure is going to be happening when everyone's fighting everyone and it gets escalated up, and you've got lawsuits, you've got government, you've got agencies, there's all that stuff, you've got OIAs, you've got media. That's fine. But that is not about the founder. Publicly, the founders on who matters, and privately is the founders that matter. So we're going to create a safe space for founders in 2023 with founders first. If you want to get involved in any way, feel free to reach out, but we need a bit of a break over this Christmas thing, but we're going to make this shit real in 2023, and it starts with this $82,831.28 for an innocent victim who cannot afford to pay this, that is now in a situation that she didn't need to be in. So that's it. Enjoy the break. Enjoy everything. I hope you've had a good 2022. I've been flipping busy, I tell you what. Team. I tell you what. Be good, be great, stay out of mischief, and I'll see you all soon. Sorry for the little rant, sorry for the ramble, but I kind of don't give a shit, because for me, when Ian Taylor first rang me on day one after he read the thing, he said, Robett, what's up, mate? I said, buddy, you don't want to get involved with this. It's too flipping gnarly. And he said, answer me this. Was this public government taxpayer funding that was supposed to help Māori and Pacifica that hurt Māori and Pacifica? And I said, 150% yes. And he said, well, that's all it takes. I gotta get involved. And then it did. 2 days later, he was on to the races. That night he posted, and it's all escalated since. So for me, why have I gone so hard? Because I was a young founder one day. I've been taken advantage of before. I love supporting the underdogs, and I don't give a shit about any of the bullies. I don't give a shit about any of the stuff that if they're gonna try and come at me, because I can take the hits. But still right now, there are so many that can't. Now, I got told specifically doing this video not to say certain things, like telling people to get stuffed. Well, I'm not gonna tell people to get stuffed. I'm not going to tell them to piss off, and I hope they don't hurt anyone again. I'm not going to tell them that what they've been able to create is now you're reaping what you sow. I'm not going to tell them that, you know, justice is not only going to prevail, but the streets don't mess with you now, because the streets know. And if the streets know and the C-suite know, you're kind of stuffed in the middle. So you've made your flipping bed, everyone that's been involved with this shit, and now you get to sleep on it. Now, for the founders, I got you. I've gone to bat before, and I'll go to bat again. New Zealand wins when New Zealanders win. And when bullies go to the small dogs that don't allow them to grow, stuff them too. So for all the haters, stuff you. For all the bullies, stuff you. For anyone that's not trying to support the founders, stuff you. But to the founders, let's flipping go. And to anyone who wants to support, Founders First Trust, launch an idea. And, you know, we got to put a good chair on there. I've got a good idea for a chair. I've got a good idea. All right, now what am I off to next? All right, I'm going golfing, I think. All right, have a good day, team. Much love, adios, be good, be great, and wrapping up 2022 with the gong show that was. Bring on 2023 with solutions that matter. Love your work, team. Be good, be great. Sorry for being a menace, but this is how I roll. This is what I do, and I would have thought I had to get to this point after a year of public things doing it to try and make this happen, but if no one's going to do it, we will. The people, for the crew. Much love all. Peace.